Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy CV. Let's continue Australian week. This one is American and Australian react to the hardest Aussie accent to understand. Like, I'm squinting because this thing is so bright. It's literally just a white backstage. I'm going to go blind. Not backstage, background, sorry. But yeah, man, let's see if I can pick up on some of the Aussie slang and words. And every time I get one wrong, I'll take a sip of water, YouTube. Moonshine. But let's do it, man. Let's get this to 30 likes we can. Appreciate you guys. Let's do it.
She's got like a dozen babies in her belly. And
The baby's in the ultrasound.
What? Let's see if I can figure things out.
Oh, well, it's really quite funny. I was in bed sleeping at 2 o'clock this morning. My wife comes in and says, oh, the shop's been, someone ran into the shop. And I said, oh, what?
Somebody ran into the shop means it was a robbery.
Of course. No?
Or a car
I
accident.
understand better this time.
Because you had
last
the
time.
experience before. Okay. Very strong. There is stronger, I'd say, but definitely on the strong side for sure. He was just saying like, I forgot the beginning what he was saying, but like he woke up, his wife like came in and like woke up and someone was at the store, like someone was at the front of the store and he was just saying.
I mean, I understood everything he said. I woke up my wife and somebody ran into the store, but I thought it was like maybe a saying like when somebody runs into the store, it means like somebody robbed the store or maybe somebody drove into the store. But she's just trying to understand what he's saying. Okay, that's easy. I understood that.
That he's only got his underwear on and he ran out to check or something like that. Yeah. So it's kind of sure. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's not hard to understand for.
Yeah, I heard that too.
It's level 1.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there's.
Okay.
Hey boys, the surf's up. It's fucking going off, bro. The girls were staring at me while I surfed.
Why are you in there with your shirt on, dude?
What? I don't like to take off my shirt, bro. I feel uncomfortable. Is that a problem?
Oh.
You said, hey, bro, I like to go surfing with no shirt on. Why didn't you have a shirt on? Man, I feel uncomfortable, so I keep my shirt on. I understand. That was easy. But I just like the. I love that, man. Plus, I just watched, I'm going to say it wrong, Housos, episode 7. So.
I understood everything.
Nice.
So
Great.
yeah, he was going surfing, and then just like all the girls were like looking at me or something, right? And then he was, they're like, "Why'd you surf with your shirt on?"
I wasn't wrong.
A very thick accent. Very
Yeah.
thick.
Although this is a specific type of Australian accent because it's people specifically from from Greece or from Italy or from an ethnic sort of background that's not just white Australians tend to have this accent. It's we say woggy accent because his YouTube is super wog, so he's making fun of that really accentuating that accent. So not every Aussie sounds like that, but if you have that background, you tend to sort of have that. It's kind of the New York Italian that that kind of thing.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's like the Australian equivalent of kind of that.
Oh, that's cool. So
I
it's
get
a
it.
mix of 2 different accents.
Pretty much,
right?
yeah.
It does sound different
Yeah.
than a lot of the Australian accents that I've heard. It was going kind of up and down a lot, but I wasn't getting no, that type of.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at what they're wearing. I'm just like, what the fudge? This woman is wearing a vest, just I haven't seen in a long time. This one's wearing these.
I don't want to offend you, but that type of
Sorry.
rounded out vowel sound, I wasn't getting that as much.
True,
So
yeah.
that's why it sounded a little different.
I'm Italian, so I've been around that accent with family, friends, and everyone. So and friends at my school, majority were Greek or Italians as well. So they all kind of use this sounding accent. So not this extreme, a milder version, but still, it's what I'm used to.
It's
Next.
a skit, right? Are they
It is a skit.
exaggerating it a little bit?
Totally,
Right,
but
right.
there's a lot of people like
But
that. So
yeah,
it's
sure, of
like,
course.
yeah.
That was easy though.
Well, no, I actually grew up in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And then I came to Sydney to go to the National Institute here and then got catapulted out, and I thought, well, I'll give it 5 years and see what happens.
All accents are very different.
Yeah, this one was easy. She's like, I went to this school in Melbourne and gave it a couple of years, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, that was easy. Like, what? I thought this would be hard to understand, but actually what I was thinking is, I thought it was like sayings or like, you know, how Australian says something, but it means totally something different in America. That's what I thought.
That was like almost very like posh almost sounding.
Totally,
right?
totally, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she like grew up in Melbourne and
yeah, that was easy.
My short-term memory isn't the best, but she was like easy. Yeah, she was easy to understand. I haven't heard this accent a lot actually.
It's more, I'd say, like, it's definitely more poshy. Like, I'd say people that are a little more, like, it's kind of in, you know, England, how there's that very poshy, like, British kind of accent. And then there's, like, the different variations. So I'd say, like, for Australia, this would be our, like, most kind of posh sounding. So it's almost borderline, like, British. Like, there's a lot more British to it.
It sounds almost like the British accent in a way.
Yeah.
Like a mix of.
I don't have a problem understanding different accent from Australia. It's the meaning, you know, like when it's being said at a certain time, what the meaning is, right? That's where I have an issue. But understanding just a regular, like, hey, I'm going to the store, like, yeah, I can understand that, no problem. It's, hey, I'm going to the store to get a dodgy, and I'd be like, wait, what you going to the store to get a what? That's when I get lost.
Two accents.
So that's the thing. It's like, because I know some people with like RP, like British RP and like transatlantic was something they like kind of trained to speak like, to sound more like upper class. But like, I don't think anyone necessarily goes out of their way to like try and sound like that. I think it's just more your circumstances, right? Like if you're sort of, I guess, more well off, or if you've had like a lot of high education and all.
Yeah, that's basically called code switch, right? Like we do it all the time. Like even me, you know, if I was to call the doctor, and it's like, hey, how you doing? I'm calling to make an appointment. Or it's like, hey, yeah, delivery, please. It's like I think we all do it, and sometimes we don't find ourselves doing it, but we do. It's called code switching.
That like it just cultivates that sort of sound.
Yeah.
So
it's just like I've seen people when they get around me or something, I've seen people go, oh, yo, CV. I'm like, the fudge? Yo, CV. I'm like, huh? What are you doing? It's code switching, you know?
Yeah, so I don't think people, I don't know, like put it on, so to speak, but yeah, it's very much like news broadcaster Australian. Like you hear everyone in the news, presenters, like announcers all use this kind of sound mostly. Okay. So I guess maybe they put it on to a degree to sound
probably, because even in the States, like there's that type of voice.
Right, the presenter kind of.
Right, so I'm sure also in
code switch, that's what it's called.
Pregnant snake, she's got like a dozen babies in her belly, and so what we have to do is we have to ultrasound her, check out the babies, exactly the same way as you can perform an ultrasound on a pregnant woman, you know, check out the little bits and pieces that are going in there.
Yeah.
Okay, she has a dozen babies in her belly, probably talking about an animal, and we have to do an ultrasound just like we do with real people, women, and yeah. So this is probably somebody talking about an animal who's pregnant and carries a lot of babies, and we do ultrasound the same way we do to humans. It's not hard to understand.
This is the accent that I'm familiar with. The babies in the ultrasound. I really can't imitate it, but I love this accent so much.
The typical what people associate with Australian accents, right? Yeah. Of course.
Oh yeah.
He's like one of the most famous Australians.
I was gonna say it sounded like Steve Irwin.
Yeah, for real.
I was gonna say that sounded like Steve Irwin, and that because I know the person he was talking to was a talk show host here in America. That was Conan O'Brien. I know Conan O'Brien from, like, I'm a fan of Conan O'Brien, so I know. I was gonna say that sounds like Conan O'Brien, and that sounds like Steve Irwin, but
he's an icon.
I know.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. to me, like the accent goes kind of up and down. With babies, like, you know, it kind of goes up and down, so it's a bit more stronger in that way. Yeah, and the vowel sounds, like I said before, is like really rounded out. Yeah, I feel like that's how I can really tell if it's an Australian accent.
Hey, from watching Houseus, I know I'm saying it wrong. From watching Houseus to come to this sounds so simple. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like his is quite
on the strong side. I was gonna say it probably borders like the one that I know is like that strong one. If it's the steps, it's like the highest one, the highest step of like very Australian sounding. The person I associate broad accent with the most is like one of our ex-prime ministers, Julia Gillard. Like she has a very typical sort of broad Australian accent. So that's like a good example for that. You know, if you want to look it up, but sort of broad is like one of our ex-prime ministers, Julia Gillard. Like.
Oh, I thought it meant Julia Gillard has been running since 61. That's just her birthday. I thought she was in power since 61. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
She has a very typical sort of broad Australian accent, so that's like a good example for that, you know, if you want to look it up. But I'd say, yeah, it's probably the most common accent you can hear around everywhere.
The last couple of months, it just felt like you wanted to get to the end, and all of us were like, how many more days are left? How many more days? And this last week, I was sitting there, and as they wrapped me, all of a sudden, it sort of hit me like, oh, wait a second, I didn't soak this up enough. I didn't kind of make the most of it. I didn't say goodbye to everyone or whatever.
Long hair.
Yeah, I say that's also kind of broad,
that's easy.
Right? But also,
I was gonna
like,
say,
posh in a way, a little bit.
I was gonna say, if anything, Chris Hemsworth is kind of between Steve Irwin and
Chris.
Kate Blanchett, kind of in that more towards like the sort of broadish sound, but like definitely not more than Steve Irwin.
Mr. Thor.
With broad then. So then this is the one that you'd hear the most. Interesting.
I think it's a little easier, to understand compared to the thicker accents. It's so funny, like hearing him with that accent, because watching him, he's always using the American accent.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't even know he was Australian. Like for, I mean, for a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know he was Australian either. I thought he was probably like more UK-ish. I didn't think he was Australian.
It was pretty quickly, but I remember watching the movie, and then I learned after, I think, the first movie I watched with him, and I was like, wait, what?
Really? Yeah. This is American accent, like, convincing?
It's so good.
Really?
Yeah, it's so good.
I can hear him, like, trying to put it on. I guess because I'm so, like, used to the Aussie, so I'm always like, it kind of sounds a little, like, it keeps slipping a little into Aussie, but I guess if you can't tell, that's really good.
I can't really tell. Yeah, I think also because like sometimes a very tiny slight Australian accent, you know, it may sound like, you know, with the R's you use A. Like in Northeast we also do that. So if it may get like a little
it can slide and oh, interesting. I think for a lot of Australians, because like our tongue, we haven't trained it in the same way because we don't pronounce R's like at the end of words the way Americans.
Like in my country, when we say car, it's carro. Like I know how to. So I'm used to it. So yeah, like I can learn a different language so easy because my coming from my country, like my tongue is already have that, especially the R, like they're talking about that, like that's easy. Most people can't do it. So yeah, like I said, car means, well, the way you say car in my language is carro. You can hear, you know what I mean?
Do so like that's what Australians struggle with the most is maybe that R sound, like really using that tongue to like accentuate that sound, which is why I think when I hear Aussie actors do American accents, you can kind of hear it's always the R sound that will slip at times because it's hard to keep it sounding really strong, I'd say, because we haven't trained that as much in our tongue. This is interesting.
It was fun because I haven't heard variations of the accent.
Yeah.
So it was interesting hearing the different accents and kind of like how it became to be. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. And like I learned a lot about the differences too, because like I can hear the differences, but we don't really talk about like the names for them or like sort of, you know, which ones are the most common and stuff. You just speak the way you speak, so it's cool to know. Yeah.
So today we listened to some Australian accents.
If you like the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
I don't know. I think to me that was like pretty easy to pick up on. I thought I would have more difficult time, but yeah, that was pretty easy to me just to pick up on. I actually thought the video was more like using slang or terms that I wouldn't understand, but yeah, for me, I can hear and pick up on the accent, no problem. Like I had no issue. So I think I'm ready to go to Australia, man. I'm ready to visit. It's just that like in the beginning when I was doing a lot of stuff, especially Australian music, and somebody said, "Hey, you're a good bloke," I thought they were just calling me fat. It's stuff like that I'm like, all right, I gotta get used to the slang. I gotta know what it means. Cause I thought bloke was just like, yo, you saying I'm fat, bro? I ain't that fat. Well, I am, but like, bro, you ain't gotta call me fat. Anyways, I'm just saying. Anyways, man, keep your head up. Love you guys as always, man. Till next time. Peace.